You're not bad at life, you were never taught how to think. 3 lessons on rational thinking. What I learned after being wrong many times. There was a period in my life when I truly believed I was a rational thinker. I trusted my experience. I trusted my intuition. I believed that once someone had been through enough, they would rarely be wrong. But the longer I lived, more people I observed, and the more important decisions I had to face, the more I came to realize a quiet but uncomfortable truth. People are not wrong because they lack intelligence. They are wrong because they were never trained how to think. We are taught many things in life: how to study, how to work, how to earn money, how to communicate. But we are rarely taught how to think correctly. And because of that, repeat the same mistakes, make the same poor decisions, and then ask ourselves, why do I always end up paying the price? The 3 lessons we want to share are not profound theories. They are simply insights I gained after being wrong many times. Lesson 1. Why do we so often think wrong without realizing it? The first realization I had was this: human beings do not enjoy thinking, they enjoy believing. We believe things that make us feel comfortable, confirm what we already think, are supported by the majority, or make us feel safe. Rarely do we stop and ask ourselves, is this actually true, or is it just something I want to be true? For a long time I thought I made decisions based on reason. But when I looked back honestly, I saw that many of my most important decisions were made when I was angry, afraid, defensive, or overly confident in myself. In those moments, reason was no longer guiding me. It became nothing more than a lawyer defending my emotions. Emotions are fast, reason is slow, and if we are not careful, we allow emotions to drive our lives far off course before we even realize it. Another reason we often think wrong is our habit of careless thinking. We hear one story and immediately believe it. We see one example and apply it to everything. We hear someone say, "Everyone is like that," and we accept it as truth. But life is far more complex. One case does not represent the whole picture. One personal experience does not define the world. I learned this the hard way. Careless thinking leads to careless decisions, and careless decisions lead to a life full of regret. The most important moment in thinking is not when you prove yourself right, but when you are humble enough to admit, I might be wrong. Lesson 2. The foundation of clear thinking. After many pointless arguments, unnecessary misunderstandings, and decisions that came at a cost, I realized something fundamental. To think correctly, you must first think clearly. And to think clearly, remind myself of 4 principles. Principle 1. Understand what you are talking about. Many conflicts in life do not come from differences in opinion, but from differences in meaning. We say success, but each person imagines something different. We say freedom, and one thinks of money, another thinks of time, and someone else thinks of peace of mind. If concepts are not clarified from the beginning, every discussion that follows becomes meaningless. I learned that vague thinking leads to vague action, and vague action rarely produces good results. Principle 2. Do not contradict yourself. For a long time I lived with contradictions without even noticing them. I said I respected the truth but only accepted truths that benefited me. I said I valued reason that acted entirely on emotion. When you live with contradictions long enough, you become used to them and start to believe they are normal. But intellectual maturity begins when you are willing to face your own contradictions honestly. Principle 3. When you have enough information, dare to conclude. Many people avoid making conclusions because they are afraid of being wrong, afraid of judgment, afraid of responsibility. But I came to understand this. Not making a conclusion is also a choice. And it is often the choice that keeps you stuck. Mature thinking is not about never being wrong. It is about drawing conclusions when there is enough information, and having the courage to correct yourself when you are wrong. Principle 4. Every belief needs a reason. I trained myself to adopt a simple but difficult habit. Before believing anything, I ask myself, why do I believe this? Not because someone said it. Not because many people believe it. Not because it sounds reasonable. But because there is a strong reason to believe it. Mature people do not believe more things. They believe more selectively. Lesson 3. How to think without deceiving yourself. Finally, I understood this. Thinking is not an inborn talent, thinking is a skill. And every skill requires the right tools. First, do not rush to generalize. A few experiences do not define an entire life. A few failures do not define who you are. I paid a price for drawing conclusions too quickly from too little evidence. Since then I have learned to slow down before generalizing anything. Second, always examine your assumptions. Many ideas sound logical, convincing, and well structured, but are built on assumptions that are wrong from the start. If the foundation is flawed, everything built upon it will eventually collapse. Third, avoid false comparisons. Comparison helps us understand quickly, but it is also one of the biggest traps in thinking. Things that look similar on the surface are not necessarily similar in essence. I learned to ask myself, do these two things truly share the same nature? Fourth, see both the details and the bigger picture. At times he focused too much on details and lost sight of the larger goal. At other times he spoke in grand terms without understanding the core of the issue. Mature thinking means knowing how to tonalize deeply and synthesize wisely. A message to the viewer. After everything I have experienced and reflected on, the most important lesson I learned is this. Reason does not guarantee that we are always right, but it helps us be wrong less often. And in a world full of noise, misinformed, and extreme emotions, being wrong less often is already a powerful advantage. If each day you slow down your thinking just a little, question a little more, and remain a little more honest with yourself, you will notice your life changing quickly, but deeply and sustainably. Thank you for staying until the end. If these reflections gave you a new perspective, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey together.